Okay, my friends, we're officially began our meeting talking about the keys of health. Let me make sure everybody's on mute, unless you're talking. I decided to talk on this because it seems like when we have a group, there's always a number of people that have a number of health problems. And this is one thing that DK addresses. He tells us that it's important for disciples to stay as healthy as possible so that they can be of service. Because if a person's health isn't good, he can often not be that usable to the hierarchy or to his brothers. In other words, often other people have to take care of him or her. So keeping our health in reasonable condition is an extremely important thing for us to accomplish. And so I thought going over this, giving a presentation on keys of health from what I've gathered throughout my life may be beneficial. There's three aspects to producing health from a wholeness point of view. And it has to do, one aspect is the mental, the mind. The second is the emotional. And the third is the physical. And of these three, the most important and the most overlooked is the mind. And because the mind has power to do anything. The mind is much more powerful than we give it credit for. The only reason the mind does not seem powerful is because the mind is conflicted. Like everybody wants to have good health. But on the other hand, when we're faced with decisions in life, we often make decisions that are contrary to good health, even though everybody wants good health. It's like the little kid. The little kid doesn't want to get cavities, but he wants to eat a lot of candy because the candy tastes really good at the moment. So he eats lots of candy, and that's the way I was when I was a little kid. I had a lot of cavities when I was a little kid because I really like sweet stuff. And my mom kept warning me, eat all that sweet stuff, you're going to get more cavities. But I didn't listen. Even though I figured that must be true, I didn't want the cavities, didn't want to go to the dentist, but I ate quite a few sweets, and that gave me quite a few cavities. And I didn't want them, but my mind was split as a little kid. And I can kind of forgive myself as a little kid because little kids don't really have the discipline, don't really know better. But this is just an example of you don't want to go to the dentist, you don't want cavities, but on the other hand, your mind is split into doing things that produce that which you do not consciously want to happen. And this is the reason in all of us that the mind doesn't have more power. The mind has ultimate power. It's like Jesus said, if you have even the faith of a mustard seed, you can say to that mountain, be removed and be cast into the sea, and it will be done. So why can't we do that? If our mind was not split, we could actually do that. If our mind was not split, we could perform the same miracles that Jesus performed. If our mind was not split, we could be healthy all the time and never have any health problems at all. If our mind was not split, we could extend our lives live a couple hundred years if that's what we wanted to do. But all the minds of probably every person that's in mortality is split to some degree. And that's why their minds do not have the power to materialize what they really want. Because mind, pure mental energy, created the actual universe, created the planets, the galaxies, everything we're seeing through the Hubble Space Telescope, the James Webb Space Telescope, everything you look up in the sky and you see, everything upon the earth is created by the mind of God. And we share the mind of God. And because we share it, we can use the mind to create. And so what the disciple has to do is examine his thoughts, especially if he has any ill health, because the ill health is a reflection of a split mind, a mind, because nobody wants pain and ill health, right? So since we don't want that, and if we have that to any degree, we have to look and say, now, what is going on in my mind that is creating this? How am I creating this? What am I thinking wrongly? How is my thoughts directed the wrong direction? Because everything is created by mind. I create my own reality. You are the creator of the situation you're in right now. And when people see themselves as victims, they're in illusion, because nobody is a victim of anything out there. They're only a victim of their thoughts. And so thoughts are very potent. Thoughts create your reality. So if you're in a situation you do not like, whether it be ill health, a bad relationship, a bad job, a bad situation, poverty, or whatever it is you don't like, it was created by your mind. And the reason this is hard to accept, of course, is because consciously, we don't want anything bad to happen to us. We don't want pain. We don't want ill health. But it's like the little kid that doesn't want to go to the dentist. He thinks, well, I didn't manifest that cavity, but he did manifest it, because certain of his thoughts led him in the direction that produced that which he did not want. He wanted something else. Okay, and it's all around what we want, all around our desires. We have many different desires. Many of our desires take us in the direction of what we consciously want. But then the problem is many of our other desires takes us away from that which we consciously want, because we wanted other things that's in contradiction to what we consciously wanted. So we want good health, but then there are certain things that we want that run contrary to good health. For instance, we may binge on junk food, eating and drinking things that aren't good for us, lack of exercise, lack of a lot of things, wrong thinking. There's a lot of things that run contrary to what we want as far as good health. I don't know if I've ever met anyone that says, will admit, yeah, I really didn't want to have good health. I want bad health. Have you ever known anybody that had that attitude, Curtis? Have you ever met anybody that wanted bad health?
Unless they wanted to be a victim. And I don't know anybody in my present life. I don't hang around people like that.
Yeah, what's interesting is that esoteric teachings teach us that we draw to us what we want. Yet a lot of people have bad health. And so how is it that what they want takes them toward bad health? Now, Ed here, he's in his 80s and he's pretty healthy. What's your thoughts on that, Ed? How is it that since we create our own reality, people who want good health have bad health? How is that? What's your thoughts on that? Yeah, Ed, are you need to unmute there.
Yes, hello.
So what's your thoughts on that, Ed? Why is it that now you're a good example of a person that has good health in his elder years. You're in your 80s and you have good health still. So what are you doing different from some of your friends that have really bad health? What do you think the difference is?
I think the better part of health is what do you put in your mind and what you say about yourself. You know, I believe that everything I say about myself is my truth. And if I have the right attitude, then I direct myself to eat healthy things and not overdo things.
Yeah.
I try to live in balance. I'm active in my work and my exercise.
Okay. So yeah, the mind is of supreme importance, but it's the part of ourselves that healers pay less attention to than anything else. So anyway, the mind is all powerful. If we could just focus on the mind and direct the mind toward in one direction instead of being split. See, the trouble with the mind is that it's split, like the kid wanting the sweets that aren't good for him, but he also wants good health and good teeth. Okay, so we have to look and see how our minds are split. If our minds were united, then we could accomplish most anything. But we find as we go through life that we have all kinds of things pulling us away from the direction of power, self-power, to where you can have what you really want. In other words, your mission in life is really to be happy, to have joy, to have fulfillment. And a lot of people think, well, and this is one of the problems. A lot of people think I'm in the land of sorrows. I'm not going to be really happy till I go to heaven or till I die or whatever. But one of the keys to power is to see your mission as happiness and joy. You are here to really enjoy yourself, to laugh, have fun, have a good time in this life. And if you believe that part of what God wants for you is to suffer and to not enjoy yourself and to struggle and to just sacrifice, then that's what you will be doing. And part of that sacrifice is often ill health. So remember this, your mission in life is to be like God, and God is one happy dude. Okay, he's a happy guy. Okay, the masters are happy people. They have a good sense of humor. They enjoy life, and they make the best of things. And they do not expect drudgery. We tend to expect drudgery. And what is humanity expecting right now? With all the news that's going on with the war in Ukraine, a lot of people are saying, man, we're headed for the apocalypse, man. And this is what a lot of people are thinking. And if you think you're heading for the apocalypse, what message does that send to your body, to your experience here in life? It means that maybe you're having an apocalypse of health too. Okay, so we have these split minds where everything takes us away from joy, from love, from happiness, to thinking that, well, that's in the future. Right now, we have to struggle and have pain and go through misery on this planet of misery. This is a terrible planet we're on, a terrible society. And so when we think that, we're thinking thoughts contrary to maximum enjoyment of life. And part of that maximum enjoyment of life is having decent health. Because without good health, it's really hard to be optimistic. Now, on a practical level, your mind in your everyday experience is fed. You feed it with what you put in it. Okay, I just read about a movie review called something like Terrifying Number 2 or something like that. This new movie that's being released is so terrifying that people are passing out in the theaters and they're vomiting right in the theaters. I mean, they say this is the most terrifying movie that's ever been, a lot of blood and guts and everything. It's not something I want to see at all, but it's amazing how successful these type of movies are. And it's amazing how successful some of these video games are, where people are shooting up everything and fighting everybody. But we need to make sure that our minds are fed with good, positive thoughts. Even watching the news is kind of depressing for a lot of people. You don't want to watch too much arguing on the news, or else it can affect a lot of people in a negative way. Both sides are affected. They say the Democrats are more affected than the Republicans. Artie's daughter is a psychologist, and she says almost all of her clients are from the left. They're very, very depressed about what's going on. But the Republicans get depressed too. So both sides are affected. But the people in the feeling mode are affected a lot more by what's negative things that are fed into them, it seems like. But no matter who you are, you have to be careful about what is planted in your mind. And there's several things that I did when I was young that I think I did right. I memorized a lot of scriptures, and then I made a habit for a while of memorizing a positive thought every day for a while. I didn't keep it up all my life, but I'm glad I had those some of those thoughts in my memory, because every once in a while my mind goes back to things I memorized when I was younger that were positive, and it's kind of like just good food for thought. So you want to feed yourself. Now, read books that are uplifting, that are spiritual. Watch movies that are spiritual, that are uplifting. Stay away from the gore. But on the other hand, if you have to watch something negative, tune it out so it doesn't affect you, because you can't protect yourself from all the negativity in the world. If as you go through life, you're going to come across a number of negative things that cannot be avoided. So the question is, how do we deal with those type of things? Let's suppose you have a good friend that just wants to get in a big argument, and or maybe you did something to hurt his feelings. And so how do you deal with that without letting it negatively affect you? And what I have found is you just have to let the negativity pass through you. You can't see yourself as absorbing it. If you see yourself as absorbing it, then it will negatively affect you. If you see yourself as merely a point of light that everything else is just passing through and the light remains, then you can be impervious to the negativity that is out there in the world. Let's get some opinion on that. Let me see. I haven't picked on Tyler yet today. Are you there, Tyler?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. When you come across negative people, how do you handle it yourself?
Oh, that's
Because a
a tough one.
A lot of people, when they come across somebody negative, they get negative too. And I would assume that you're not that way that much.
I've fallen into that trap before, but I eventually recognized what was happening. So I try to.
Are you there? Oh, we lost contact there. We'll get back to him in a minute. Okay. Oh, there you are. Are you there, Tyler? We lost.
I'm out,
lost
I was
contact.
outside. I try to. I try to recognize when I encounter negative people. I can't say that I'm perfect about how I deal with it. Sometimes I do, because sometimes it's fun to be negative.
Yeah.
But I do try to be positive,
Well, that's one of the problems is once you get into it, people are happier being unhappy than they are being happy.
I remember a few years ago, we had cable TV. We haven't had cable in over 10 years. And we'd watch certain channels and just every night we'd just down, 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 down. And finally, after a few months, we're just like, man, I don't feel good after I watch that. So, you have to recognize it.
Yeah. You have to just let things pass through you. Now, what do you do if do you ever get in an argument with a friend or anything? You
Not like verbal arguments.
You don't look like a very argumentative guy, is the trouble for this.
Well, looks are deceiving. My wife tells me that I can get into lawyer mode sometimes and be real argumentative. But in general, I don't. But I have a few times on Facebook, and I don't really like it because I think about it and get really angry about it, and so it doesn't happen too often because I don't like the feeling.
Yeah. The key is just to let it pass through you, and don't see yourself as receiving the negativity, but see yourself as just an observer. And this is an important esoteric teaching, is to see ourselves as an observer. So if we're at a party or something and a big argument starts up, see yourself as just observing. And if you participate in it, still see yourself as just a character, kind of a character in a play. And so if somebody insults you, you don't really feel insulted because they're insulting something that is not really there in the esoteric way of thinking.
On that line, it takes two ego minds to make an illusion real or to make an argument. So if if one person is angry and the other person doesn't respond, it's like one hand clapping, it makes no noise.
Yeah.
If you interact with that person at their level or lower yourself to that level, then you make that illusion argument real. But I run into a lot of people, with today's circumstances and dramas that have, they're looking for a greater light. I just listen to them. And if I can help them shed a little light on circumstances, I'm there to do that. But I find listening to people, they pretty much burn themselves out after a while, or they'll see how negative they are and want to shift that around. Or maybe you can see a solution to their circumstance and, kind of guide them. But just don't take their crap upon yourself.
Yeah.
I always tell people to look for the funny side. There's always a funny side to every challenge. And if you can find the funny side and laugh at it, it totally diffuses it.
Yeah, that's matter of fact, that's one of the categories we're going to talk about is humor in this staying healthy. But yeah, the key on the mind is to not be divided. Each one of us has to examine ourselves, ask ourselves what we want for health and vitality and what we want in life, and how is our mind divided so that we're not getting exactly what we want. If we're not getting what we want, it's because there's other things that we want that we're not, that's working against what we seem to want. So we need to examine our thoughts and find out how our thoughts are divided against themselves and undo the division so our thoughts are united. If the thought of one person is united, he will have tremendous power. But then if you take the thoughts of two people, the power isn't doubled, but it's more like 4 times. Okay, the 3 people, it's not tripled, but it's more like 12 times or so.
It's exponential.
Yeah, and it increases exponentially. Okay, the next key is the emotional self. And this is a cause of tremendous problems that we experience in life. And the biggest problem with emotions is suppression. But there's two ways to express emotion that creates problems. One is too much emotional expression, and the second is too much suppression of emotion. Too much expression of emotion, like in anger and rage, can produce things like rashes and things like this, things that inflammation. So we have diseases of inflammation produced by emotions just going out in the middle of nowhere. And then we have the diseases of contraction, where the emotions are held in. And the most prominent disease of that's caused by suppression is cancer. And it's interesting that when you find somebody that has cancer, they're almost always quite a nice person. Have you ever known somebody has cancer that's just, you think, boy, this guy really deserves it? Most people you see have it, that they're very nice people. And this is their problem, is they're in situations where there's conflict, and they will think, well, this guy really hurt my feelings, but I don't want to create any waves or conflict, so I'm just going to let it pass. Okay, so the person then suppresses that negativity, and they keep it within themselves, and then it causes a festering, and so that it eventually can manifest as some type of a disease, often as a cancer. So have you ever known, what's your experience of people that you know with cancer? Have they been pretty nice individuals. What do you think? Now, Curtis's mother died of cancer, and she was a wonderful person. Everybody just loved her to pieces. But
She was a downwinder. She got cancer in the thyroid, and a lot of people who lived in Emmett in the 50s were subjected to the nuclear test results, and there's a lot of fallout that happened in that area. I don't think she would have. She wasn't really a suppressor. You know, she let me have it all the time whenever I needed it.
yeah, but she might have. It's hard to tell with people that suppress, though, because they're hard to read. And so she might have been suppressing in ways that you couldn't really perceive in some ways.
Well, being married to my dad, she probably had to suppress.
Yeah, your dad was quite a dominant person.
He was a handful, let me tell you.
You might have went along with him a lot of times when she kind of felt like, well, I need to just go along to make things work.
I better go along if I want if I want peace in the household.
Yeah.
Could have been.
Um,
But you know, there is chemical stress too. It could have been from the environment.
Yeah, you're stimulated by these negative things, but on the other hand, there was a lot of other people there that didn't get cancer that got the radiation. But that these external things can, if you're near the tipping point, it can send you over the edge. Is the trouble. And so, yeah, my sister Sandy has had a lot of health problems, and I think it might have been stimulated by that radiation.
There. To answer your question about cancer,
Oh, Artie's
Can I
got
hear
something to say. Why don't you come over here by the mic, Artie?
well, I'll just come over here. Can everybody hear me?
We hear you, Artie. We hear you.
Okay. Okay,
Here, let me spread the mic close to her.
the other thing I found with cancer is I like to read obituaries. And a lot of the women who die of cancer, if they tell you the cause of death, they always describe as someone who put everybody else first and they came last. And they took care of everybody else's needs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's typical of the person that gets cancer, is they put everybody else before themselves. And this is an important thing to realize. Like I said at the beginning, we are here to experience happiness, joy, peace of mind, abundance. That's one of the reasons we're here, to enjoy ourselves. And if we're putting everybody else first, we're not really enjoying ourselves that much. We're suppressing that enjoyment and putting it off till later. We think, well, I can enjoy myself later. Okay, so you are as important as anybody else. Let's pick on somebody else. Olivia, what do you think about that? Have you noticed that people who get cancer seem to be just really decent, nice people?
My mum had cancer, quite severe cancer. She's still alive, but I think she did have to suppress a lot with my dad as well. They didn't get along very well throughout their marriage. So
Yeah.
I think she built up a lot of,
I think she's
that.
suppressed quite a bit. Yeah. And DK verifies that. He says that suppression is one of the causes of cancer. And now there's numerous causes. This is one of the tricky things about illness, is you can have two people, like I say, experience the same situation, and one person, like I say, if they eat the wrong foods, they can still maintain their health. Another person can't. Those bad foods triggers them. And or maybe too much radiation would trigger something. So you have certain triggers that happen, but on the other hand, there's a lot of factors involved in every disease. It all goes back to the mind. If the mind can be undivided, then you can actually have a pretty bad diet and still have good health. And you can
Your
be in
mom
bad
had a
situations. Yeah.
Your mom had kind of a bad diet and she had good health or bad, yeah, and she had cancer twice and she overcame it.
Yeah.
Uh, and I lived with her 2 or 3 times. One time she tripped over a hose and broke her hip, and she healed in like 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, just incredibly quick. And she said, what made me so mad wasn't that I broke my hip, is that I didn't see that damn hose.
Yeah.
I mean, she just had a really good attitude about life. I don't know how she ever managed to get cancer, but she beat it.
Yeah. So probably with the emotions, we don't want to have too much emotions going out there with irritation, hate, anger. That produces diseases of inflammation. And then we have diseases where the energy is held in and produces cancer and growth and other diseases related to that, to the emotional suppression. So the right emotion, having emotions where you just feel at peace with yourself. If you can live your life so you feel emotionally stable and at peace with yourself, that is a prime ingredient of good health. Okay, anything else about the emotional side of things?
Yeah, it's about stilling the water. Your emotions are represented by water. So you want peaceful, calm water. And,
Yeah.
that's how I look at my emotions is, am I at a boiling point of water, or am I peaceful? Are my waters calm and still?
And clear. Yeah.
Clear, yeah,
Clear of
clear.
all impurities.
Not too salty.
Now we get down to the more physical, practical side of things. Whenever I see an article about somebody that lived to be over 100, I always read everything I can about the person just to see, because sometimes it talks about their diet or their lifestyle, and so it gives you clues. And I've done this good portion of my life, and there's 3 things that I notice that's common about a lot of people that live to be over 100. Can anybody guess what those 3 things are?
They did what they wanted to do.
Well, that's part of it.
They ate honey.
Yeah. Do you think it's they didn't drink or smoke or
No,
chase wild women or go to extremes? What do you think? What do you think it was?
There was there's one about the nun in Rome that attributed her long life to the fact that she still had cobblestone streets and that she could ride her bicycle on.
No, okay. What I found, let's go with diet. What I found is that there's people that drink every day like this. There was this, the oldest World War II vet was a black guy who I think he lived to be like 110 or 12. And there's a story about him, how he used to sit on his porch and drink rum and Coke throughout the day. And if you wanted to please the guy, you'd bring him a bottle of rum. And he lived to be 110, and he drank every day. But so he broke the rules. Coke isn't that great for you, and rum isn't that great for you, but he really enjoyed that drink every day. Okay, and then you read about. I read about this other gal lived to be around 114, and she had on her refrigerator a message saying bacon is great. So it's interesting that a lot of these people that live to be to a very advanced age ate things that everybody tells us not to eat or we're going to die early. Yet there's smokers that live to be very old. Like George Burns smoked cigars. He lived to be almost 100, I think about 99. And so what's the key there? And here's what I found as far as diet goes, is almost without exception, everyone I read about that lived to be over 100 was moderate in their
Yeah.
eating and drinking. They may have drank some alcohol, but they didn't really overdo it. They may have ate a Big Mac now and then, but they didn't overdo it. They were moderate in what they did. So moderation was one of the factors that was in almost everybody that I looked into that I could find details on. And you find people that just go into excess, they're the ones that wind up with ill health. They go on a diet and they'll stay on it for a few months and they'll go off and then they'll go crazy and eat everything. And so they go from one extreme to the other. Now, Ed is our eldest statesman here, and I noticed that about Ed. I've gone out to eat with him several times, and he's very moderate. He'll have a drink of wine now and then, but just usually just has one glass. He's a very moderate drinker. He's willing to eat or drink most anything, but he's very moderate. Isn't that right, Ed? Are you there?
Yeah, that's right. I was gonna diet once, but I couldn't decide what color.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I noticed that about Ed, and it's paid off for him. He's still in good health in his older age. Let's hope he lives to be over 100 and can tell us about it. Okay.
I'll
So
tell you another thing. Can I add something?
yeah.
And that is that people that live to be an old age and they might have poor health habits, they're not double-minded about it. They don't, well, I shouldn't be doing that, you know. They don't have guilt behind their actions. They don't suppress it. They just say, oh, hell, have a cigarette if you want, or have a drink if you want, or have some more bacon if you want.
Back on that emotional level, guilt is as bad as suppression. Guilt is very unhealthy. So if a person feels guilt over anything, he needs to find what causes it and to eliminate it. So that's a good point to bring up.
One thing that we have to consider is karma. Some people only owe a certain amount of time to this physical planet, and that they're here a length of time and they leave.
Yeah, that's true. Some people just their time is sooner than others. Okay, there's another ingredient that a lot of people that live to be over 100 do, is that they raise their own garden. Now, again, we'll pick on Ed. He's the oldest guy here, and I understand you raise a garden every year. Is that right, Ed?
I've been doing it for 7 years.
Yeah.
So living in the city, I didn't have much of a garden, but I did whenever I had some dirt.
Yeah. So Ed's doing two of the three of the things so far. He's a moderate guy, and he raises the garden every year that he can. And this is oftentimes these people, especially the ones that live to be over 110, almost all of them have raised a garden most of their life. And it's an amazing thing. In other words, if you can get fresh vegetables and fruit from your backyard, where you pick it and eat it right away, it has a lot more life force, a lot more nutrition than stuff you buy in the store that's been sitting there for a few days. So raising your own garden, and we're going to talk about that later, what you can do if you don't have a green thumb, to eat as live foods as possible. The more alive your foods are, the healthier they are for you. Okay, the third thing is attitude. I've noticed that people that are healthy in an older age have a positive attitude about life. And they just your attitude makes a big difference. Your how you see the world. If you see yourself as a victim, that's one of the worst things you can do. If you see yourself as the world is against you, then your body starts turning against you. So you want to avoid that victim attitude. So those three things, just a good attitude, moderation, where you just don't go crazy one direction or another, and eat as many live foods as possible and grow what you can that is alive. Okay, any comment on that before we move on?
Yeah, JJ, I had a question. Is now those were all things that obviously are under our control, but what about genetics? Do you think genetics plays a part in it? Because everybody I know that lived into their 90s and hundreds came from parents who also had longevity.
Well, I don't think it plays as much as everybody thinks. I think what is attributed to genetics is often you inherit the mindset of your parents more than the physical. Now, genetics does have some influence, but I don't think it's as much as you think. Like I've read about different people that have dedicated their lives to studying health. And some of them, their parents, like read about this one guy, dad died of a heart attack when he's in his 40s, and it was just in his family, and everybody thought he was going to die of a heart attack, and he's robust into his elder years because he changed his attitude and his diet. And I read about a number of health practitioners like this. And most health practitioners got into this area of expertise because they had some major health threat in their younger years. And a lot of them went through hell and almost died. And then they figured out what they could do to change their life around in their physical practices. And a lot of them wound up being having very robust health, even though it seemed like all their genes and situation and life situation was against them when they were younger, but they turned it around by changing their diet, their exercise, their attitude, and it just restructured their whole body. And I read about quite a number of these people. And it's funny, though, how many of these people that have written books on health got into good health practices because they suffered something that almost took their life when they were young. And they either had to figure out how to cure themselves or die. And so I'm one of few people I know that's interested in health that didn't get that way because I had a life-threatening disease or something, but and I'm not a fanatic on it by any means, but I read about a lot of these people that have been that way. Now, Artie has read even more than I have on health. Have you read about a lot of people that turn their life around like that, Artie?
Yeah, most of the health practitioners I listened to started out because they were so sick. They had to figure out their own recovery.
Yeah, she's read a lot of books on it. She just said most of the ones she's read about started out with some big health problem that they had to turn around, either that or die. And so, yeah, if you're in a situation where you are threatened with life or death, then you'll do most anything. And some of these people have really made dramatic changes in their life that turn their health around. And that doesn't mean the outside things or what you're born with will doesn't have an effect. But what I'm saying is it can be neutralized. The power of the mind has power to change anything. Your whole body has brand new cells in it I think they say every 14 years. Everything in your body is completely, every cell in your body, every piece of matter is different than what was in there 14 years ago. So every 14 years, you have the possibility of renewing your body with completely new materials that were not even there before, which is interesting.
I heard it was every 7 years, but could be 14.
Yeah, 7 or 14. I think it's, I've heard 14, and then other people say, I think a good portion of the body gets renewed every 7, but I think there's a complete renewal of everything in 14. I think it's something like that. But okay. So the next question is, what can we do on the physical level to just take care of ourselves so that we can have good health? Not all of us are capable of taking control of our minds. If we could take control of our minds, then you could eat or drink most anything, not exercise or whatever, and your mind could have power to keep you healthy if we understood how to use the mind. The mind has power to create anything, but because you have to be pretty much a master to be able to do that type of thing. We're stuck with having to do what we can on the material level to take care of ourselves, to have a reasonable health. And we have to keep ourselves in reasonable health if we're going to function and be useful, like I say, because if we're not feeling good, even if you get a bad cold, if you get a bad cold, you just don't feel like doing much. Feel like just going to bed and sleeping all day or whatever. So even relatively healthy people have periods where they're not very productive because they have to treat themselves of some problem that they have. So keeping ourselves in good health is important if we want to be a good servant and be productive to humanity. So one of the things that you can do is tune into your body, because there's a statement of that I think is true. It says one man's cure is another man's poison. And you notice that some people are allergic to certain foods. I have a couple grandkids that are allergic to peanuts, and they can't eat peanuts at all. So they just there's probably a way to cure that, but I don't get to see them very often. But there's probably a way to cure that, but they haven't found it. And people with an allergy like this, they have to avoid certain foods. So for other people, for me, for instance, eating peanuts is fine. That's no problem at all. My wife is very sensitive to gluten, so she's on a new gluten diet. I can eat bread and it doesn't seem to bother me at all. But so you have to figure out what your body likes and what it doesn't. Now, what Artie does to figure out what's agreeable to her body is before she eats anything, she has this pendulum in the morning, and she puts a pendulum over different things to see if her body wants that today, especially with her supplements. She has a whole bunch of supplements, and so she doesn't take them all, but she puts a pendulum over them, and it tells her which ones she should take and which ones she should not take. Now, I don't really use the pendulum. I've experimented with it, but I think with me, my thoughts kind of interfere and maybe guide it incorrectly sometimes. So I don't trust it 100%. So what I do with, if I introduce a food supplement or something I haven't eaten before, I try to tune into my body. But when you tune into your body, you can only do like one thing at a time. So if you're adding a new food supplement, you don't want to add 3, because if you add 3 and then you're feeling a lot better or you feel worse, you think, well, which one of those 3 did the job? Well, you don't know. So you just add 1 at a time. And you add 1 at a time and then tune into your body over a week and just try to feel how your body is responding to that. And I found that works for me. So sometimes I don't feel anything, other times I can feel something. So when I feel something positive, then I think, well, this is something that I can use. So tune into your body. Now, sugar is something that really affects me. If I eat a soda pop with a lot of sugar in, I can really feel that my body doesn't like that, you know. Now, when I was younger, my body had no problem with, I could eat all kinds of sugar, but in my older age, sugar is, especially refined sugar, if my body has a, gives me a strong message, you know, go very easy on that, it tells me.
That's like, because it's pure poison.
Yeah.
Processed sugar is.
But on the other hand, I can eat natural sugars like honey and maple syrup and molasses, and my body likes that in moderate amounts, of course. But my body can handle that much better. So when I tune into my body when I eat honey, my body tells me that's no problem, you know. But then if I eat a soda pop, I drink a soda pop, my body says, hey, you know, hold off on that. So listen to what your body says when you eat and drink or take any supplements. And if you're not sure what your body says, well, try the pendulum. Does anyone know how, has anyone tried the pendulum before for different things to get answers?
No, but I've used applied kinesiology where you do muscle testing.
Yeah, that's a similar type principle as the pendulum.
Yeah, because your body has its own intelligence. You know, you listen, that's really, really profound. Listen to your body talk. It'll tell you if you're thirsty. It'll tell you what it wants. You have to listen to your body. Pay attention. Don't let your mind override what your body wants.
How about you, Cindy? How do you determine what's good for your body?
Well, I tried to use a pendulum in the past, and like you, JJ, I found that my mind can just make it do whatever I want it to do, or, you know, even when I'm trying not to. So
Yeah.
I didn't really trust it. So I've stopped doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, some people can use a pendulum and just tune out their thoughts, so it can be pretty accurate. Now, Artie, what was that we did with Paul at one time that you found something? Oh, I remember we put sugar or something in a glass of water. What did we do?
It was ammonia or alcohol it was rubbing alcohol in water.
Yeah, we put something poisonous in one glass of water, and another glass of water was regular water. And we already didn't know which glass was the bad glass. And she used the pendulum, and she was right about 4 times in a row. And her son-in-law was just baffled by that. It was pretty funny. But so I think she's pretty good with the pendulum, as far as I can tell. Okay, now another thing you can do to diagnose yourself is something called reflexology. Does anyone here know what reflexology is?
Yeah, it's where you work the muscles, the nerve endings in your feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And the first time I heard about reflexology was when I was on a mission for the Mormon Church back in, it was about 1964 or 5. And this gal told me about reflexology. By pressing points on her foot, she could help people's health. And I thought that was the craziest thing I ever heard of. But then when I got home, it kind of stuck in my mind, and I stumbled across a book on it, and I experimented with it, and I found it was actually quite accurate. And one of the greatest things about it is you can diagnose yourself very quickly. Matter of fact, I have a let me see. Yeah, I'm going to share an image on this. Okay, does everybody see that, the feet there?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, here with the feet, it gives pressure points to where everything is. Now, the great part about reflexology is you can find out in 5 minutes what it takes a doctor spending $1,000 worth of tests to find out quite often. Because you can find out instantly what parts of your body are negatively affected. Now, if you get a bad cold, what's interesting is what's negatively affected is often your kidneys, your liver, and your heart. And they will be overworked. And so they are a little bit negatively affected. But this is just temporary while you have a cold. Now, if you massage the areas for these, especially these 3 parts of your body, also maybe your lungs, it will do a lot to help your health. Now, what happens when a part of your body is negatively affected? Let's say your kidneys, for instance. Let's say you got a kidney stone. Okay. What happens is the nerves in your feet associated with that part of your body develop tiny crystals on them. And then when you massage it, those crystals kind of work into the nerve and it creates pain. So when you massage the area of your foot related to a disturbance in your body, you will find it will hurt. It will create a kind of a sharp pain. And so if you want to find out if anything's wrong with you, just massage your whole foot. And when you find an area that's tender, then look up and see where it is on a chart like this. And it'll tell you what part of your body is causing the problem. Artie's back was hurting her yesterday, so I massaged her for the area of her back. And now she's feeling a lot better today. And I was thinking, Adam was telling us he was had a back problems just developed. How's your back doing, Adam?
It's a lot better. I went to Cairo. He's not a body cruncher. He doesn't crack your back or anything. He uses kind of a technique that's kind of like massage, but he puts these funny shoes on you, and he'll do your back, and then he'll go to your feet, and he'll do so he's doing something with reflexology at the same time to measure. I don't know how he does it, but after he worked on me, I felt like my spine and ribs were in alignment again. So the only effect I have now is just some muscle soreness, but it helped a lot.
Yeah, a good chiropractor is really important if you have any back problems at all. One time, it was about 20 years ago or so now, I had the night light off or something, and I fell down the stairs and threw my shoulder out, and I couldn't hardly eat because if my right arm was affected, and I can't eat with my left hand very good. And so I could hardly move my right arm. I went into the chiropractor and he just threw me up against a wall and did a whole bunch of maneuvering. And man, I was 50% better within 5 minutes. It was just pretty amazing. So you get a good chiropractor, they can really, really help you out. But yeah, it's a good idea. Now, another thing you can do, it's kind of a hassle to do it with your thumb or fingers. It takes a lot of energy. You can take a stone or edge of a chair or something, and it'll just rub your feet on it while you're eating or something, and that will stimulate the areas of your body you want, or if you do your whole foot, it stimulates your whole body. So so get a large block or edge of a chair or something that you can massage your foot on, and that will help a lot. But one of the great benefits, like I say, is diagnosis. You get something wrong with you and you're not sure what the cause is, well, do the reflexology, check out one of these charts, and looking for how to unshare here. Wait a minute. Here we go.
You know, they have sandals that have those nubs on them that stimulate the nerve endings in your feet too. And walking in sand is good, like on the beach without shoes or socks. We did that at Seaside, and that really was healthful.
Okay. Yeah, that's I think Artie has she has several things. She has the ball too with some little spikes on that you can roll your foot around, and that kind of stimulates your feet. Now the reason now you also have the same points in your hand, but you work your hands a lot. So you work those crystals out of your hands, but your feet, you have them covered with shoes all the time. So they don't get the workout. And now in the primitive days, we probably ran around barefoot, but now we have the soles of our feet protected. So it's a good idea to have the soles of our feet massaged regularly, and it stimulates flow of oxygen throughout the entire body. Okay, there's 3 things that are important to health that are often overlooked: air, water, and diet. Those 3 things. A lot of people focus a lot on diet, which is good, but oftentimes air is overlooked. And the air around us is getting more difficult all the time. So one of the things that we've done is we've invested in a couple good air filters. And the brand that we got is called the Air Doctor. And it's a real good one. If every time I fry a hamburger, it goes off from changes a different color, telling me I'm putting stuff in the in the air that pollutes. So it's very sensitive. So you want to have clean air. Now in some places like in China, for instance, the air is really bad. In Los Angeles, it used to be really bad, but fortunately, pollution controls have helped considerably in a lot of our large cities. But in India and China, some of those places have really terrible air, and the air isn't perfect anywhere. So you want to have as good air as possible. And Artie keeps our windows open as much as she can because she believes that the outside air is fresher and better for us than the inside air. So that's a good practice as long as the outside air is clean. Okay, the second is water. Water is really overlooked. A lot of people just drink tap water, and tap water has a lot of things in that isn't particularly good for you, especially chlorine. So what a lot of people do is get these carbon filters and filter out the chlorine. That's good. But water is different in different areas, and you should check to see what the ingredients of your water are in your area. You can contact your county and the people in charge of your water supplies, and they do testing on the water. And like I checked here, and they told us all the different minerals that's in our water here, and you can check and see if what type of minerals are in the water that you're drinking. Now, the trouble with minerals in regular water, they're a lot different than minerals from plants. What plants do when they take the minerals out of the soil is they break them down into very fine particles. And then the plants absorb them, okay? Whereas in our water, compared to what a plant does to a mineral, where it breaks it down to a very small particle, it's like if we were to magnify these particles up, the particles in our water, say, would be as big as a basketball. The particle in the plant, once it's broken down, would be like a grain of sand. So it's much finer. And the minerals in plants are much more easily absorbed in the body. Whereas the minerals in the water just pass through the system, and they cause the kidneys and the liver to work harder because the body doesn't absorb very much of them.
Well, the plants change the structure of the minerals from inorganic to organic through a process called chelation. So the minerals actually take on the life force of the plant, where in the water there is no, you just have H2Os. But when we sold Mattol, that was one of the big factors for healing, was that the plants had the ability to give life force to the different elements in a way that they wouldn't in any other way.
Yeah. So what I do is these regular filters like Brita and that, they don't take out hardly any of the minerals. Matter of fact, they advertise, we leave the good minerals in. Well, we don't, that's not necessarily a good thing. Especially some of the minerals are more harmful to you than others, like fluoride and lead and different things, or can be invasive. So what I do with the filter that I use is called the zero filter. You've probably seen it advertised on TV, and it takes everything out. They give you a little measuring device you put in the water, and right after it's filtered, it says 0. Before it's filtered, it says 150 parts per million of mineral particles in there. Okay, so it goes from 150 particles per million to 0 after it's filtered through zero filter. And so then after it's filtered, I then add some minerals. I add some minerals from plants. They're called colloidal minerals, and they're produced by Joel Wallach. And the colloidal minerals are much healthier. So I add some of these, And then I add a couple other ionic ones like some magnesium, zinc, and selenium, and ionic silver. But the most important ingredient is these colloidal minerals. Add some of them, and then that produces a living water again. And it produces minerals that you can absorb into your system. Now, if you drink too much highly mineralized water from tap water, it can have negative effects. Your body has a hard time often getting rid of these, and it accumulates these in the joints and can produce arthritis and a lot of painful situations. So my advice is to keep your drink as pure water as you can. Now, there's a lot of water systems that are very expensive. And I've found that water systems that have filters that you just change every 6 months, I don't like the idea, because after a few months, it starts to taste bad. And what I like about the zero filters is you change them, they're smaller, but you change them more often, so you never get a bad taste. And if you get a bad taste, it means it's accumulating bacteria. And so I like the zero water filters because we change them often. There's never a bad taste. And you have the testing unit there that they supply you with that assures you that it's working. And then when it gets up to 5 or 6 parts per million, then I change the filter. And the filters aren't that much more than the Brita filters. They're not too bad a price, and you can get the starter unit for just $29.95. So it's not that expensive to get started on it. Okay, any comments on water? Anybody got their own thoughts on what they do as far as drinking water?
Boy, our water, when we lived out in the country, was really good. Then when we moved to town after the virus struck, they did something to the water, and we can't drink it at all. So we buy that Crystal Geyser water at
Yeah.
Weimar. It's not very expensive, but I prefer water that comes out of a natural source in the earth than distilled water.
Yeah, they say distilled water is dead water. Matter of fact, Moto, whatever his name is, when he did these pictures of distilled water, I used to think distilled water was probably the best, but then he kind of converted me to the idea that it's dead. That's why I take everything out of the water and then I add the minerals back in, which I believe makes it alive again. And another thing I used to do with water, I haven't been doing it lately, is put it out in the sun in a clear jug. And that's supposed to energize it with extra prana. And it was kind of a hassle doing that. I did that for a number of years. I didn't notice a lot of difference, but it's a lot of people swear by drinking water that's been energized by the sun.
You used to have like 20 gallons of water out there being energized.
Yeah. When we moved to our different location here, it's not as conducive to the sun. But okay, another thing that's important.
AJ,
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention you can bless your own water. So you can change that structure by blessing it or praying over it, or so you can. Matsumoto's work was about infusing water with positive messages, and he could change the structure of the water that way.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. He had pictures of before and after, and once they sent positive thoughts to the water, it produced, and they froze it, then it produced very beautiful patterns. When you prayed over it or sent positive energy to it. So water is very conducive, receptive to positive thoughts. And your body is what, 80% water. So since there's so much water in our body, our thoughts have a strong influence over the water in our body. And so it's also important that we give the water in our body the ingredients to good ingredients where we don't have a lot of impurities in the water that we drink. And so that's interesting. Okay, any more comments on water?
Yeah, everyone should have that book, Hidden Messages in Water by Emoto. It'll change the way you think about water. And you're right, Olivia, you can pray over water. He did tests with holy water from different holy places like around the Vatican or different churches, as opposed to tap water. It was incredible, the messages that he discovered in water. Should have that book.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that nobody's continued his research. I haven't seen anybody else continuing that. You would think that a lot of scientists would be looking into it, but haven't heard of anyone else continuing his work. Have you?
No, I think it was kind of definitive. You know, he did the research. He demonstrated pretty clearly and completely, you know, the messages in water. I think it was kind of his own personal research and interest. I don't know why the people aren't going on with it, but they're not.
Another important thing is salt. A lot of people just buy regular table salt. But the thing is, when regular table salt is produced, it's heated up to over 600 degrees and it changes the molecular structure. And a lot of health practitioners are under the opinion that it contributes to hardening of the arteries and problems with your arteries because of it's like the little particles of the salt is kind of has sharp edges on it, so to speak. And so a lot of people are gravitating to sea salt, but the trouble is a lot of the sea salt goes through the same process. It's heated up, and you can tell processed salt from unprocessed. The processed salt, if you buy sea salt and it's a pure white color, then it's been processed and it's no better than regular salt. So if it says sea salt, that doesn't really mean anything. It has to be salt that is not processed. And if it's not processed sea salt, it's a light gray. If it's a light gray, then it's a lot better for you. And it also tastes better. It tastes really great. And we use this all the time. And the one that we use is called Celtic salt. Now, another one that's quite popular is Himalayan salt. It's from the Himalayan mountains and it's from ancient seabeds. And I experimented with that and my body likes the Celtic salt better, quite a bit better. So I've stayed with a Celtic salt. And
How do you pronounce that? Celtic salt?
CELTIC, Celtic.
Celtic, okay.
It's pronounced Celtic, even though it's CE, it's pronounced Celtic.
So where do you get that? At a health food store or?
Yeah, you can get it at health food stores. We usually get ours from Vitacost, or you can get it on Amazon. And it's about $10 for a pound. It's a little pricey, but a pound goes quite a ways. And it's very now the reason it's gray is because it's got about 50 or 60 minerals in it. And these minerals are very similar to what your body likes. Now, if you extract the water from your body, it's like seawater. very equivalent to, and the scientists say that's because we evolved from the sea, so that the water that's within us, if the body is healthy, it'll have the water in it will be equivalent to seawater, very equivalent. So using sea salt that is unprocessed, I think the body really likes that, even though it's not colloidal. It's a lot healthier than regular salt. And there's a lot of people, when they've switched over, give testimony to that it's really affected their health a lot. Now, Himalayan salt would be the next best thing down, and it's quite a bit cheaper. But the Celtic salt from France is the main country that makes this Celtic salt, and it's really good. And so I would use that, and also use different herbs for seasoning. And I buy an herbal mixture from Costco, and then I mix it with the Celtic salt and use it as my main seasoning for just about everything. And because if you get those saltless mixtures to season your food with, it's just not very satisfying. But you mix I mix about 2/3 of the herbs and 1/3 Celtic salt, and it makes a really nice flavor.
You like that better than Johnny's?
Yeah, it's a lot healthier than Johnny's. We do use Johnny's for a couple things, though. Already makes several sauces using that Johnny's, but it's not a particularly healthy one, but it's a good flavor. Yeah.
I'll try that Celtic salt. Yeah, it's interesting. Your body is 75% water, and the earth is covered 75% with water. Yeah, and it has the same saline equivalent. That's interesting.
Now, the minerals I add back in my water are, like, say, Joe Wallach's it's called Longevity, and it has about 90 different minerals in. So it's got a big supply. And his theory is that the body needs every natural element that appears in nature, but just very small traces, amounts of some of them. Some of them, like zinc and magnesium, it needs a lot more than it would need silver or other elements. But
is that Wallach's product? Wallach?
Yeah, Joe Wallach's product. Yeah. Another thing that's popular, and I experimented with, is sun gazing. Has anyone ever done sun gazing?
Yeah.
You've done it? I didn't know
Yeah.
you've done it before.
Then
I did it for a while, did you?
Who's that just talked?
Me, Relina.
Oh, Relina. Okay. Well, tell us your experience with it, Relina.
Well, it was during the period when I had the opportunity to, because the sun was rising at the right time and I had the time. And I got up to about 20-30 minutes of just watching the sun. And I don't know for sure if I really noticed anything different. My eyes maybe seemed a little bit better. But then my schedule changed and I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah,
So,
your story is a little like mine. Now, with sun gazing, what you do is you gaze at the sun, not in the middle of the day, that can hurt your eyes, but a half hour before sunset or sunrise. Okay, but the sun is just before the sun sets, and just as the sun comes up, the light from the sun is not nearly as strong, so it's not harmful to your eyes for small amounts. So you start out with just a minute or so, and then you increase to 2 minutes, and then up to about 20 minutes. And I got up to 15 or 20 minutes. I was doing it every day for a period of time. And I didn't notice a lot of difference. So, I just, I didn't figure it was worth my time because I had other things to do. But I did notice something weird that I haven't seen from any other sun gazer, is I saw a symbol in the sun. And it kept moving around and it kept changing, like a symbol that changed. It looked a little like the Star of David, and then it turned into something else, and then it turned into something else. And it was weird. And I haven't found anyone else that's seen that symbol in the sun. But it was really hard to figure out exactly its shape because it would change about every half of a second, And so it was never the same long enough for me to figure out exactly what it looked like. But did you notice anything like that when you were looking, Relina?
No, I had some different experience with colors.
Did you?
Some really interesting, I don't know what you'd call it. After I'd look away, and then if I closed my eyes again, I could see where, because after you've looked at a light, you know how you see that white light, bright spot in your vision?
Yeah.
And I'd close my eyes and I'd watch it and it would change colors. It would just fade from one color to another color. It was really cool. I don't know what that was about.
Okay. Okay, another important ingredient is of course exercise. And Artie gives me a bad time about that because she exercises a lot more than I do. She goes for walks. And how much do you exercise every morning? About a half hour or more?
You mean before the walk?
Yeah.
No, about 45 minutes.
Yeah, she exercises 45 minutes in her exercise room and then goes for a long walk. And she just, but it's paying off for her. She stays in really good health. And she wants me to exercise more all the time. I exercise every morning on a trampoline and go through several things myself, but it only lasts about 10, 15 minutes or something like that. But I get a lot of exercise going up and downstairs. When we bought this house, when we looked for a house, we wanted to get one story because we're in our older years. And we thought we don't want to get a house with stairs in because, maybe when we get older, we won't be able to go up and down the stairs. But anyway, the house we found with the office in that we liked had an upstairs room that was just right for an office. And I'm glad we got that because most of my exercise is running up and down those stairs because I'm absent-minded and I get upstairs and on the computer and then I think, oh man, I forgot something and I have to run back down the stairs and then come back up. And then pretty soon I'll remember I forgot something else. And so my absent-mindedness causes me to get a lot of exercise running up and down those stairs about 20 times a day. And so that's probably my main exercise. So that's probably a godsend. It's probably going to increase my life a number of years just because we got a house with stairs in it. So so maybe
I got a house with stairs. I do the same thing. I forget something. I'm running up and down the stairs. And do you use that mini trampoline quite a bit?
Yeah, I use it every day. And before we moved into this house where I run up and down the stairs, I used to use the trampoline like 3 times a day, but I figure I only need to use it once a day since I get all this exercise running up and down the stairs. So okay, so anyway, get a good amount of exercise. Jogging is good, walking is good. doing some push-ups or trampoline, anything to get your, do some stretching, some yoga. Just do something to keep yourself active and the juices and blood flowing. That's really important. Now, for food, it's important to eat live food and avoid the food that's treated with chemicals. And for live food, like I say, one of the things that I found that was in common of people that live to be over 100 is a lot, most of them raised a garden. And they ate a lot of garden food, fresh from the garden throughout their life. Now, we got a really small backyard. We don't have enough room for a garden. But I do the next best thing is I raise quite a few sprouts. Now, the healthiest food you can eat is a sprout. A sprout is a lot healthier than the finished product. It has a lot of life force in it. So there's several sprouts that I eat that are really good. One of the sprouts I buy and raise is broccoli. Another good one is lentils. Lentils is cheap, and they're really easy to sprout. To sprout lentils, all you do is just put it in some in a quart jar, and so to start the sprout, you soak them for 12 to 18 hours, something like that, and then drain the water off, and you rinse it twice a day. And after about 3 days with lentils, you'll have really nice edible sprouts, and they taste really good. Now, some sprouts don't taste very good, like wheat sprouts. I don't like them at all. And beans, not excited about them. But the sprouts that I like best are lentils is the easiest one to sprout. If you've never sprouted before, start with lentils because it's hard to go wrong. One of the healthiest sprouts you can eat, though, is broccoli. And to make broccoli, you start the same way. You soak it for 12 to 18 hours and then rinse it twice a day. And then I put it on a sprouting tray, and then I rinse it twice a day and keep it in the window where it gets some sunlight. And after about 6 days, they're really nice sprouts. Odie, would you run downstairs and get the broccoli sprouts? I'll just show them what they look like.
Didn't you used to sprout wheatgrass or what? Some grass seeds?
No, I don't. Never sprouted that. Now, the other thing I sprout is no, radishes are also very easy to sprout, and
Maybe that was it.
it's a good one. But what another sprout that's my favorite besides broccoli is sunflower sprouts. But sunflowers are hard to sprout. You don't need any, for most sprouts, you don't need any dirt. You just rinse them with water and they will sprout naturally. But with sunflowers, rinsing them with water doesn't do the job, but they need some dirt. And I found the best way for sunflowers is just to get a pot and plant a whole bunch of sunflower seeds, but give a very generous portion, cover it with just thin layer of dirt, water twice a day, and it takes about a week. And then you harvest them as you need them after that. They taste really good, and they're very healthy for you. But I can only raise them about 9 months out of the year because they don't grow very good in the winter, even inside. They don't grow, even if I try to raise them inside. Now here's my broccoli sprouts. Can you see them there? Yeah. There's my broccoli sprouts. That's what they look like. They're on this sprouting tray. I have I rinse them in water for about 3-4 days, and then I transfer them on this sprouting tray and continue to rinse them twice a day, and they grow really good. And they taste okay. They go, they go really good in salads.
Do you mix your sprouts like broccoli and do you do celery or just radishes? Do you mix them in salads?
I don't usually mix them. You can buy a mixture though. Alfalfa is another one. I used to sprout alfalfa, but broccoli is a lot like alfalfa, but it's healthier. So I switched from alfalfa to broccoli. But I buy them in 2.5-pound mixtures from Amazon, and this price is pretty reasonable. If you do that, they last for quite a while. Lasts about 4 or 5 months. But yeah, we eat them in salads every day. I spend more time making a salad. I'm the main cook in the family, and I spend more time making the salad than I do all the rest of the meal. It takes a lot of time because a good salad is a very very good key to health. Then another thing I do to extend, now I grow a couple other things in pots, some chives and what's that? Basil. Yeah, basil. I love basil. So I grow a lot of that in the summer, but and to extend my little growing season, I bought a little hothouse, and I'll show you what that looks like. And it's really cheap. You don't have to spend a lot of money on this. Okay, can you see that? Amazon selling that for $29.95 plus $5 shipping. And I paid $39.95 for mine, but it's on sale right now for $29.95 plus shipping. And works really good. And it keeps everything about 10 to 15 degrees warmer than the normal outside. So the outside has to get down to around 20, 25 degrees before things will freeze and inside the little hothouse. So that's extends my growing season on my sunflower sprouts and the other things that I'm raising. Green onions is another thing. Well, the great part about green onions is they do not die in the wintertime. They continue to survive even at 0 temperatures. They're amazing things. But you take the green onions you buy in the store and you just clip off the green part, use that, and then put the other part in the dirt in a pot, and it'll grow a new green onion in a few weeks. So you can just once you get those going, you can just have nice organic green onions for quite a period of time. So anyway, we try to eat as live of foods as we can, and since we don't have a regular garden, we do grow quite a few sprouts and eat them every day, and I think that's one of the healthiest things you can eat. Like I say, the sprouts have a lot of life force in them compared to a full-grown plant, and so eating sprouts is a very healthy thing to do. Okay, any more comment on that?
JJ,
Yeah.
what's the easiest strain of cannabis to grow in Boise?
I'm not an expert on that.
We just go to Ontario. They have a huge selection, 10
Oh,
different
yeah.
stores.
Yeah, just across the border in Ontario, Oregon, they sell anything you want to buy there.
Organic and everything?
Free shipping.
Yeah.
Send you some seeds. You know, that might not be a bad thing to sprout as marijuana seeds. Serious?
I've never tried sprouting them. I don't even know where you'd buy them. I guess maybe Ontario, you might be able to buy them there.
My
Okay.
brother.
Yeah.
Another thing we do is what we call red light therapy. And the infrared light is, they've done some experiments with it, determine it's very healthy and in increasing the blood flow and oxygen levels. And a lot of people with arthritis say it's helped their arthritis. And so you sit in front of a red light. Now you can get red lights for therapy starting as cheap as $39.95 up to, you know, thousands of dollars, depending on how much you want to spend. But here's what a red light looks like. Let me share it with you here. See, this guy's standing in front of a bunch of infrared lights. He just stands there for 20 minutes and supposed to really stimulate the health of the body and vitality and everything.
Is
So
that you when you were 25?
Yeah.
That's me yesterday.
25, I could believe.
Yeah, now they even got this red light thing that you can put on your head and it's supposed to grow hair. So I haven't tried that one out, but who knows? But they're coming up with new stuff with infrared light all the time. Now, the cheapest red light is the sun itself. The sun has all wavelengths of light. So in lieu of anything else, just go get some sunshine every day. If you can't get much sunshine, red light therapy is the next best thing. Okay. Another thing that's key to health is sound. Now, as far as sound goes, I already come across this lady named Eileen McKissick, and she specializes in tuning forks. She, the idea with tuning forks is they say a lot of our ill health is caused by blockages and bad flow of energy, and that tuning forks can kind of neutralize that. And also, she claims to be able to use tuning forks to go over a person's body, and she can feel the vibration from the tuning fork when she reaches an area that has a problem. And then she focuses on that problem. Now, one of her main tuning forks is this one. It's called the Sonic Slider. And I'll show you what it sounds like.
I did that last year. Or, let's see, the last gathering.
Can you hear that? I'll put it right next to the mic. Let me do it again. Oh, okay. Anyway, let me try another one. This one's a little louder. Can you hear that? Anyway, apparently the sound isn't coming across there very good.
I could hear it loud and clear.
Oh, you could hear it loud and clear? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, these tuning forks, each frequency does something different. Like this frequency here is good for pain. You can hear that?
Causing or removing.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like a concert. I don't like that.
Now this one here is good for meditation. Does that make you feel peaceful, Curtis?
No. No, Joe, it didn't make me feel anything at all.
So anyway,
Soft.
Anyway, Artie uses this one particular every day. You hit it like that, and then she's got a special thing on, and you put it over your body, and it's supposed to tune your body energies so they flow well. And she's been using it for a while pretty religiously. One thing about my wife is once she gets something in her head, she follows through very good, a lot better than I do. But what's your opinion of the tuning fork? Do you know, do you think it's helped? Kind of hard to say, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I use it once in a while when I'm passing by and seeing it laying there. I'll go like that, and I don't know if it does anything or not, but a lot of people swear by it. And she claims to be able to, psychically pick up where the energy is needed and go in that direction. Anyway, that's an interesting thing to look into if anyone's interested in that area.
Well, I have like 8 or 9 bells all through my property. I have a Tibetan meditation bell, a school bell, a church bell, like one of my grandma's old bells. And sometimes when I'm out mowing the lawn or out in my backyard, I'll go around and ring them. And I'll bet they have a similar effect as that tuning fork.
Yeah, the principle is quite a bit the same. And as far as sound goes, another sound that's really healing is music. And, I really don't think a lot of this really acid rock is very healing, but I think a lot of the classical music and music with nice, pleasant melodies, I think is very healing. And sometimes you listen to a song and it just feels like it elevates you. Anybody have a favorite song that just kind of lifts their spirits? Adam, how about you? What kind of song lifts your spirits?
Well, I mean, I do like classical. The Air on a G string.
Yeah.
You know that?
Huh.
It's a joke.
Oh.
Air on a G string. You do know it.
Hair on a G string.
Not familiar with that one, but it's got my imagination going.
Okay, I'm gonna play it for you.
Toccata and fugue in D minor.
I like that song, If God Is One of Us. I think that's a kind of inspiring song. And I like the songs that was in Titanic. I thought those were kind of spoke to the.
I like that. Hallelujah song is pretty good too. What was the guy that wrote that?
My
Leonard-
heart goes on. That was good. That was in
Yeah.
Titanic.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
heart goes on. The Beatles. I listen to the Beatles channel a lot. They had a lot of good love songs and melodies.
Yeah, my favorite singer in the old days in the 60s was Bill Shannon, and his biggest hit was Runaway. And when I first heard it, I was having surgery on my hand, and I was just waking up from the anesthetic, and I heard the song Runaway playing, and I thought it was so beautiful that maybe I died and was in heaven. Because I'd never heard music like that before, I thought. And anyway, it turned out to be my favorite song for years.
Started off with the Everly Brothers.
Yeah, Everly Brothers, their songs are really great. Yeah, I love them. But yeah, music elevates your soul, and it also brings back memories. Like if you had a certain song that you listened to when you fell in love, and then you play that again, it brings you back to that moment, kind of. And so music can be very healing. Now, another thing that's very healing is laughter and humor. I read about this guy that got multiple sclerosis, and the doctors told him he only had a year or two to live. And he figured out by himself that, he just had the inspiration that humor could heal him. So he went and rented every comedy movie that he could watch. And he did everything he could to make himself laugh. And it cured himself in a few months. He was just laughing all the time. And another thing that's kind of cute, I heard this, I was surfing through the YouTube channels, come across this guy that claimed to be lived at the time of Jesus. And he says, Jesus was a real funny guy. He's like, he said he made everybody laugh. And he says he was totally different than people have him image of him as being a really serious guy. But he says he even laughed at really when they were in a bad situation. He says he still cracks some joke about it, So I found that a little bit believable. That I could see him being kind of light-hearted guy rather than really serious all the time. And DK points this out. He says one of the difference between the Brotherhood of Light and the Dark is the Brotherhood of Light has a sense of humor. The Dark Brothers don't have a heck of a lot of humor. You insult them, they want to kill you. But
and they can't stand being laughed at.
right, they can't. They do not like that at all. Okay, the last thing I'm going to cover is fasting. Fasting, there's several ways to fast. The most powerful fast is where you just drink nothing but water or water and lemon juice for a week to 10 days. Once you go past a week to 10 days, it rejuvenates your body, but you have to break your fast right. Now, Wayne, when I told Wayne about fasting, he fasted for a week and then he broke it with hamburgers and milkshakes. And I was surprised that it didn't make him sick, but it didn't seem to bother him at the time. But I said, Wayne, that's not the way you break a fast. You got to break it light or it can really upset your system. But yeah,
Wayne was an anomaly.
Yeah, he was a strange character, Wayne was. But yeah, if you fast for 7 days, you want to end it with like a bowl of fruit and some live vegetables for the second meal, and eat really light the first 24 hours. And some people say 3 days, but I found 24 hours, eat real light, and then go back to normal eating after that. And but yeah, the times I fasted for a week to 10 days, it did rejuvenate me quite a bit. But I've gone on a different system where I don't really haven't felt the need to go on a long fast because I've switched to intermittent fasting. Who said they were on intermittent fasting here? Was that you, Curtis?
No,
Intermittent, where you, a day a week or something?
no.
No.
Yes.
I've done several 7-day fasts.
I think it
Yeah.
was Tyler that said that.
It was me.
Yeah, Tyler.
Oh, Tyler. Yeah, that's right. Tyler said that. Yeah. But anyway, I was trying to lose weight. I kind of let myself go when I was working 80 hours a week and doing all the writing and everything. And then I decided, well, I need to lose some weight. And so I tried a number of things. I even went on a mucusless diet again, where I only ate raw foods and vegetables. And I lost a little, but not nearly as much as I thought I would. And what helped me more than anything was going on this intermittent fasting. And I not only lost weight, but I also had a better sense of health about me. And the way that works is you fast from your evening meal to noon the next day, and you go, you only eat, you fast about 16 to 18 hours a day with eating nothing but, liquids. Okay. And I lost about quite a bit of weight when I did that. Then I still wanted to lose a little bit more. So I kind of reached a plateau there. So I added one more thing. And one day a week, I fast for 24 hours. And when I do that, that lost me a few more pounds. And now I'm staying right pretty much even the past couple of years on that plan. So I fast intermittent fasting 6 days a week, and then one day a week I go 24 hours without eating. And so that works pretty good, and I've been pretty happy with that. And so it has several benefits. The one that I was really looking for at the time was losing some weight. That worked better than fruits and vegetables, and it also I think helped my health. I've had a good sense of well-being about it overall. So anyway, that worked pretty good for me. Now, Tyler, how's the intermittent fasting work for you? What did you notice?
Well, I'm almost never hungry in the morning, so it's not that hard. I'm relatively skinny. I do have a little extra pounds here and there, but I maintain my weight. And
did you do it mostly for health?
Yes.
Weight. Yeah. Yeah. Overall, yeah, it works pretty good. Anybody else have any particular things they do that they found really works that you want to advise us on?
Well, you didn't believe me about that song, so can you enable screen share?
Yeah. What's the name of that song again?
Air on a G String. It's written by one of the greatest composers of all time.
Let me see. Yeah, I think that should work for you.
Thank you, Ross. Oh, there it is.
Please tell me you know that song.
I think I've heard it before, but I didn't know it was called that.
That's Bach.
Yeah, Bach did that, huh? That's something.
I think we were thinking you said hair on a G string. That's why we were laughing.
I said that.
Bach's always been one of my favorites.
Yeah, Bach was a master, all right. Yeah.
Oh, boy. On that note.
Well, really.
I think we've lost Artie.
Let's see how high we can take it now. Anybody want to meditate?
Now, Rulina, when she come to the first gathering, And then she came to the second gathering. She looked entirely different. She looked younger, thinner, more vibrant. What did you do, Relina? Are you there? Are you still with us? Oh, okay.
I went through a special program they have for my health condition, I guess you could say, Hashimoto's thyroiditis. It's a combination of different supplements that they have designed specifically for the thyroid. And I went on the mucusless diet, or not mucusless, sorry, the anti-inflammatory diet for quite a period, and then gradually added back in certain foods, and through a certain protocol, figured out which foods my body likes and which ones it doesn't. And anyway, there was it was a whole program, and it was very helpful.
Well, it sure seemed to work for you. I didn't even recognize you. I thought you were somebody new. When I
Yeah.
saw you. Yeah, you were really transformed. So good for you. Okay, anybody else got any health tips before we sign off here? Now, Artie's going to be speaking tomorrow on what's the name of that? She got a really clever name figured out. What's it called again? Why kangaroos don't have stripes or something?
Oh, why zebras don't get ulcers.
Oh, why zebras? Why zebras don't get ulcers is what she's talking about.
I've got a tip real quick.
Yeah.
So I have a genetic disease where I absorb too much iron. And too much iron is not just a problem for me. They add it to all sorts of foods and grains, and it's not actually healthy, the iron that they put in there.
Yeah.
So and high iron can lead to heart attacks and a bunch of other problems. So when you do your routine health checks, ask for an iron test, just to make sure that your iron is good. There's a lot of hidden problems with that.
Yeah, I think Artie has me get a
Ferritin,
blood test
it's a ferritin.
couple times a year. Isn't my iron high?
Yeah, ferritin is high.
Ferritin?
Yeah.
Yeah, my iron is fairly high. She says she's seeing what she can do about it. She's always figuring out something that I need and giving it to me. But anyway, she's going to be talking tomorrow, and Curtis is going to be talking Sunday, and I'll be saying a few words, and we'll have a meditation each day to start things off. So until then, appreciate everybody showing up and participating. And we will see many of you tomorrow, hopefully.
Appreciate your words of
Thanks,
wisdom.
JJ.
Remind me.
We're all gonna live to be 120 thanks to your wisdom.
Okay, Artie says remind you of something.
What
What?
what time tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow 1 to 5. So
Mountain Standard
that's
Time.
Mountain Standard Time. Okay. Adios. See you soon.